All right, welcome back to Story Theory. We're going to be reviewing The Devil in Me today. TJ's on with me, so we have his scores up against mine. And we're going to start off with narrative like we always do. I'm rating narrative 10 out of 10 here. TJ's 8 out of 10. So the reason why I went so high is because I have a little bit of more background in the Dark Pictures anthology. So this was the season 1 finale, and it was definitely the best in the series. I wouldn't say by far because Man of Medan, Little Hope were really good, but it was a huge improvement over House of Ashes. So after coming off of that, I gave this game a 10 out of 10 for narrative alone. I don't think that all the characters were all that like I wasn't really emotionally connected to any of them, except for the killer. I mean, Triple H was super cool, and his murder hotel was awesome. So that's kind of why I went with a 10 out of 10. TJ, why'd you give it an 8?
I had a small sample size, so this is my first game like this, whether it be pretty much from any choice-driven horror game like this, but it was the first from the Anthology series. So I went with an 8 out of 10. I didn't want to give it a 10 completely because I didn't know where the benchmark was for the other ones, but it was well above average in terms of narrative from other story-driven games I've played.
Good. So then we'll go into gameplay here, and I think we have about the same score here. So I'm at 7 out of 10. TJ 7.5 out of 10. I think gameplay was really, the level design was really good. I mean, at the beginning of the playthrough, if you watched it, I was talking about the different mechanics that they included in The Devil in Me versus all the other games. And I think including those mechanics in those new types of things like an inventory system and moving stuff around so that way you can climb to higher areas and stuff like that was really cool. But I do feel like they were testing the waters a bit to see how it went over. So you could tell that some of those areas were new and they weren't totally fleshed out. And the thing that TJ and I were talking about was when he was Charlie at the cigarette machine shaking it, and I was Mark, and I got the key to the balcony, and I'm trying to figure out this puzzle, and then all of a sudden it goes to a cutscene. Frankly, we couldn't figure out why it was doing that. So some of that I feel like could have done a little bit better, but overall, definitely a big improvement over the other 4 games.
Yeah, I agree. Adding the new mechanics is, you could tell it was, even though I haven't played the other ones, so I didn't know that when we started, I didn't know that stuff like moving stuff around, inventory management or whatever, I didn't know that was in there. They went really light on the inventory type deal, and you couldn't use all of your stuff all the time. I feel like
Yeah.
that's something they're going to get more into at the future seasons.
Yeah, like Erin's asthma puffer. I thought we were going to be able to use that when she was in like the death oxygen room, and it just wasn't a thing. I
Or
didn't
if they
use it at
integrated,
all.
I thought maybe they would integrate it into like the moving around more, like just you're in the level, you need this thing that you found, or you need this thing that your character already has. But it was always like set up. It was always like they only let you pull your flashlight out, like you only need it when it's dark, but they don't let you pull it out at any other time.
Yeah, and
Like
even
they only let you access parts of your inventory that they have, and the inventory, because I played on controller, um, it's tied to like your D-pad, so like up, down, left, right, and certain things got swapped out during the story, so there's not like a traditional backpack system. It was just tied to like your D-pad, so it was a very light inventory system, but the interface on it was smooth, so I went with a 7.5.
yeah, and even another thing like with the asthma puffer, whenever I feel like that would have been really cool if she had one of the heartbeat mechanics, and like before you got into the heartbeat thing, you could have used like the asthma puffer, and it made it super easy to like maintain your heartbeat. But that wasn't
That would have been a
thing.
good piece of like making that character unique too.
Yeah, because even when I was watching the playback today, whenever we were deciding on to save Kate or Aaron, we were like, Aaron hasn't contributed anything, so sorry.
Yeah, she really didn't. Like she was in there, but they didn't really do a lot of backstory. They didn't do as much. They did a little character building with her, but as far as like the group's journey, besides there being a little bit of like a romantic thing with another group member, there wasn't. You didn't get the sense that she had like an obvious role, like an obvious leadership role, or she wasn't obviously like. They
Yeah,
set it up early, like obviously Charlie was the leader. I think Mark was the sound guy's like name. You could kind of tell he was going to be the muscle, which he ended up being anyway.
yeah.
She didn't have an obvious.
No, and that's just like playing back into the narrative. Like I wasn't emotionally connected to her at all when I was like, oh, if it's between Kate and Aaron, oh, sorry, Aaron, bye.
Yeah, the narrative was overall good, but I feel like that's what like they can. I feel like they have more potential to expand upon, like getting you connected to the characters, even though it's a short story.
Right. So moving on to market, expectations for The Devil in Me were, I feel like, huge. Being the season one finale of the Dark Pictures anthology, this genre of game that's gotten so much attention because it's so, I don't want to say new and innovative, but it started out with Until Dawn, and it kind of just spurred supermassive games into this series. So I feel like the expectations were really high, and The Devil and Me just hit it for me really well. I mean, they are kind of a market leader in the decision story-based games, so I think they really knocked it out of the park with the season one finale.
Yeah, I went with a 9 on this. Because I watched so before this, I didn't play any of the other games. I watched some gameplays just to get a feel for the overall, like what's this game gonna be like, and it did set me up with high expectations, especially after watching some trailers. And then with the multiple endings, I feel like there's that entices you to play more
Yeah.
into it. So your expectations stay high after the first playthrough if you're gonna go back and play it again.
Yep. Exactly. Social. So I haven't scored social on a game in so long, just because I haven't. I've always played mostly single player games, but I played Man of Medan with Cody, and that was pretty fun. And the social in from Man of Medan to Devil and Me, I feel like has come such a long way because I had no idea what TJ was doing, like 95% of the game. I mean, we were talking about it and like what we're seeing and like stuff like that, and like who was going to save who because their character got into an area that could have potentially killed them and stuff. But I feel like that's kind of the fun of it. Like we don't know what the other person's deciding. We can just talk about it, which is super cool.
Yeah, correct. It sets up so you have to actually communicate in the game and talk. So you're constantly engaged, and the overall like just playing together experience went smooth. There wasn't any problems with it, and the game it's set up to play that way. It doesn't feel like a tacked on mechanic at all.
Yeah, because even when you're switching characters throughout the game and it's like, oh, I'm playing Mark now, or I'm playing Aaron or Jamie, and then you're playing somebody else, I mean, it's like, I feel like it's cool because we each get to play with each character and like figure out their mechanics and stuff like that on our own. But then there's stuff that you did with like some of the characters that I never saw. Same thing with me. And the thing that I thought was funny is like even the jump scare at the very beginning where the mannequin jumps out from behind the wall because the camera's zooming in on the crow. Like it literally got me, and then it got you like 30 seconds later, and like that's I feel like that's something that's pretty cool. Like it could get both of us, even though you kind of knew it was coming. It was still good enough of like a jump scare that it got you to.
And I mean, it kind of touches into like other parts of the review we're going to get to in a minute, but the camera angle didn't give it up.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
So they used the game is set up in a way to where everyone's experience. You're actually experiencing the game. You're not just following the leader and seeing what they see, basically.
yeah, and I feel like that's what a lot of these kind of story-driven games, whenever you're doing co-op, have a problem with. It's like somebody's the main character and somebody's a side character. or vice versa, and it's not
Yeah, or
like that.
playing with someone like breaks the game. Like if you play certain games and you're playing with someone who's played the game before and they just do everything. Like there's
Yeah,
none of that.
yeah, exactly.
So the social aspect worked. Like it was thought out.
Yeah. And then we'll probably lump graphics and technical here together just because I usually do. So graphics for me, 6 out of 10. Technical, 7 out of 10. TJ, 6.5 for graphics, and then technical, 7 as well, because we didn't experience any game-breaking bugs. We thought the graphics were, on par with games of this genre, even though we could have scored graphics higher, but it doesn't seem like the genre has increased like the graphics from game to game. It seems like they're about the same. And then, my biggest gripe with these games is the eyes. They're not actually looking at what they should be looking at, which is hugely annoying. But overall, I mean, it was good. The animations and everything were great.
Yeah, I agree. For me for graphics, just so people are aware, like 5 is my average. Below that is, obviously below average. Above that's so this was slightly above. It's more of a narrative driven game than it is a visual storytelling game. Like, yeah, you're reacting to things and stuff, but you're progressing through. It's not like one of these silent games where everything's told visually. So the graphics don't have to be, like they don't have to be like Crisis 2 melt your graphics card level graphics. Because
Right.
there's multiple things progressing the story besides just the visuals. And the technical, yeah, was also at out of 7. There was no bugs or anything, but you could tell just some of the stuff they were doing in there were new things they were kind of guinea pigging with. So they weren't in there to the point where they were annoying and they all worked. But I think those things are going to be expanded upon. But some of the animations could have been a little smoother or like go through quicker, like vaulting. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be running a marathon anytime soon, but it does not take that long to step up a slight curb. So, and I think part of that's just like they probably don't want the character models ramming into each other and like clipping and stuff. So I kind of get it, but I feel like that could be made like a little smoother.
Yeah, like the shimmying through the little areas or the walls could have been better or something like that. And I feel
And
like
the running,
the
they
running,
run
yeah.
slow. They run really slow. Like I'm not a super fast runner, but like I don't think a slightly faster than a brisk jog would be the speed I chose if I had to like leg it somewhere real
Yeah,
quick.
and Charlie said he was as fit as a butcher's pig, so I don't know why he wasn't running faster. I feel like pigs at the butchers would run faster if they could. So
He said that, and then he immediately was like a smoker, and I was like, I just think that might have been his speed, but the dude I was playing definitely did something like he looked like the game model, his like game model, like he was in shape,
yeah.
and he like a brisk jog, like a 5.5 on a treadmill.
And even then, when we're playing together and you have those moments where like the characters could clip into each other or something, you'd think there'd be something technically where like your character could go first and then they would do the animation or whatever, and my character would like have a voice line, or like I would have a slim cut scene where you're getting over there and then I can get over after.
Or they do what a lot of games do, and they like kind of brush by each other, like they move one of their shoulders out of the way, or kind of move in a way to where
Yeah.
they're not bumping into each other. That I mean, who knows? That they may polish further, especially for the later seasons. But
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
that's more of like a polish thing than anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think they have 4 more games for season 2 planned, so we know they have the alien one, so that's going to be sweet. That kind of brings us to value. So I have value here at 6 out of 10. TJ has it at 8 out of 10. I feel like these games, I would give all of them a higher value score if the friend pass actually worked past 30 days past release. Because whenever I got the season 1 pass, it was like $110. And this game in itself is $40. for 5 hours, which is fine. You know, that's a little less than $10 an hour, which I feel like is decent. But also, I'm probably not gonna go back and replay the entire game again. And if I do, maybe I would do it once more. But I feel like the friend pass should be something that you get for as long as you own the game. Because how fun would it be if I had TJ didn't have to buy this game and we would just play it together, and then he could buy the next one, I could buy the one after that, blah blah blah. And I understand if that was the way it was, then I would 100% pay $60 for one game, and then TJ and I could play together, and Cody and I could play together, and I could play with somebody else, and they would buy the next one, and then we would play together. But the $40 per person for 5 hours, I feel like is kind of steep.
I will agree with that point. I do wish that the Friends Pass was like a permanent thing. Not to go on too much of a tangent here, but one of the other games that I play a lot, the only reason I'll mention is because they do the DLC, in my opinion, which is the correct way. So I play a game called Ready or Not. I play it quite a bit. In that game, if I have the DLC, anyone that I play with can access those maps as long as I, who am hosting the lobby, own the DLC. So it kind of gives you like, it's a pass but not a pass because you still have to own the game, but like that perk never runs out. So I think it should never also run out for this game. But I went with an 8 just because you can't, for people who want to experience all the endings, you can go through and play it multiple times, get a different ending each time you play it. And there's always secrets to go back for. And they have this feature now where if you're someone that does do all the collectibles, you can view the collectibles in there. So that's nice with that, and the replayability is what I think squeaks like the extra couple points for value for me. But I do wish the Friends Pass was like a permanent thing, because I think if someone else went and like, especially if they buy the season pass, you should just get a Friends Pass. Like, I get they don't want to cut, they are a company, they can't just give all the games away for free, but
Right.
I think it would just make sense. Or if you give a Friends Pass out to like one person, not have it be like, random people can play through the game with you all the time. I understand that, but I think the Friends Pass should be a permanent thing as well.
Yeah, and that's what the Friends Pass was. It was like you get one token, you can use it one time, but you only have it for 30 days after the game's release. Like if I got that one token, I should be able to use it whenever I want. You gave
Yeah,
me
because it's going to that
one.
one person. Like, they should be able to play that game with you whenever they want.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, that's kind of why value scored the way it is. And then audio, audio is huge for me. I love getting into a game and having like the surround sound, being able to hear the footsteps behind me, all that kind of stuff. And we were talking earlier that, in a horror game like this, you only have so many sounds that you can really work with. And we feel like they did a pretty decent job at giving us the full range. And TJ scored this at 7.5, so we're right along the same path here. But overall, the audio is really good for the game. I do think that the voice acting by Triple H at the beginning was phenomenal because he was super creepy in like that flashback to the original murder hotel. Like that, I don't know who that voice actor was, but he was creepy as hell.
Yeah, I'll agree. It was definitely unsettling, which is the vibe they were going for.
Yeah,
Like, everyone in this game that was supposed to, throw off your intuition as like being creepy or throwing up some red flags, they were able to do so in just the way they made the people sound. And then the same point you made with, they had a limited, like, the way they were telling the story. They weren't going ultra gory, ultra violent to like where some games go through, like games like Outlast or whatever, that do crazy violent stuff to where you can get some nasty sounds in there. That wasn't the style they were going for in this. They were doing a lot more of like a traditional style. So it was like the environment sounds, such as like the footsteps, heartbeats, straight dialogue, and then just like regular environmental sounds you get when you're like
in a
doing
hotel.
anything, yeah, in a hotel, interacting with stuff, anything like along those lines. So I think that sound was done very well, but with the limited scope they had, if there would have been other stuff, it would have really tested the devs, I think, to on how they would have captured those sounds and how they were portrayed, but that wasn't the style they were going for in this particular game.
Yeah, because a lot of the humanoid sounds and stuff like that. I mean, a lot of the figures in the game were mannequins and stuff, so it's not like they have insides or anything like that. But
Yeah. And
um,
those meat sounds, like you really only get into those with super, super violent games. And like, yeah, there was violence in this game, but it wasn't
it wasn't Saw.
it it wasn't it wasn't a pillar of the game.
Yeah,
Like the narrative was the main pillar. It
right.
wasn't like told through just straight violence. A lot of the choice driven, a lot of the story driven character development.
Yeah, so overall, I'm sitting at 8.0 out of 10 for the game. TJ's at 7.8 out of 10. So this is just slightly behind my scores for Until Dawn and Man of Medan. I mean, like I said, I feel like we really flushed out everything in the game that we really liked. And I can't wait to see what they do with Season 2. I'm super happy that they're going with like an outer space alien theme, which is going to be awesome. I can't wait.
Yeah, season 2 has a lot of potential to it. I think a lot of the stuff that we've seen in this is going to get expanded on, especially with the new mechanics and such.
Yep. Okay, cool. Well, thank you everybody for coming and watching our game review of The Devil and Me. Whenever season 2 comes out of the Dark Pictures anthology, I'm sure we'll get TJ back to play at least one or all of the games again, and hopefully we'll get the friend pass to work so we both don't have to buy it.
Yeah, that would be nice.
All right, thanks for coming, everybody. I'll see you on the next one.